last week during one of our live streams, an expression came up. It is what it is. It is what it is. It is what it is. Some of you wanted to know what this meant, but I don't think I did a very good job of explaining the meaning or how it's used or how it translates into Korean. So today, I want to try and do that a little better. Plus, I want to show you some other examples that use a similar expression, similar but very different at the same time, but just as commonly used. So native speakers, you will hear native speakers use this all the time. So I want to talk about that a little bit too. But first, let me explain it is what it is. Let me explain this a little better, okay? So it is what it is. When do we say this? When do we say this? About what? What do we say this about? It's usually about something that has happened, something that's quite common, something that happens not too rarely, something that we see happen quite often in the world. But it's usually something that we don't prefer, something that we wish, didn't happen. So let's say that there's a couple, okay? And one of them cheats on the other. Okay, there's a couple and one of them cheats on the other. Nobody likes this, right? Nobody wants this to happen, except for maybe the cheater. But anyway, nobody wants this to happen. This is clearly a thing that nobody wants, right? We wish that nobody cheated, but it happens. It happens. Can we fully understand why it happens so that maybe we can prevent it from happening in the future? No, we can't. No matter how much we disagree with it, no matter how much we don't like it, no matter how little it makes sense, and no matter how strongly we feel that it shouldn't exist or it shouldn't happen, it does. It's part of life. There's not much we can do about that. Then we say, it is what it is. It is what it is. Although we don't like it, although we know it shouldn't happen, it happens. It's part of life. And there's not much we can do to change that. Then we say, it is what it is. So hopefully that gives you a slightly better understanding of what this expression means and how it's used. Now, you will feel very strongly compelled to find a Korean translation that matches this expression. How do I say this in Korean? What's the translation? Remember, don't do that. That'll only make things worse because that'll keep you trapped inside that translation. You won't be able to use this on its full scale, okay? So if you understood what I just explained about the meaning and how it's used, that's really all you need to know. Okay, so with that out of the way, I want to move on to some other examples that use a similar kind of expression, but like I said, it's very different. But something that I think is worth taking a look at, okay? So let's take a look at the first example. Listen to this. I did what I did because there was no other option at the time. I did what I did because there was no other option at the time. I did what I did because there was no other option at the time. So let's see what we're saying here. I did what I did because there was no other option at the time. So clearly, I did something in the past, right? I did something in the past. And the reason that I did that is because there was no other option at the time. The reason I did that is because there was no other option at the time. I did that. Oh, so maybe we could just say this. Oh, I did that. I did that because there was no other option at the time. Yes, in a lot of cases, you could just say I did that instead of I did what I did. But native speakers often say I did what I did as a sort of emphasis to stress that they made the decision to do that. You see what I mean? Not something that we just do routinely, like turning off the air conditioner or skipping gym this morning because I was feeling sick. No. For example, dropping out of school. Like maybe you dropped out of school because of some problem you had. For something like that, sure, I could easily imagine someone saying, oh, I did what I did because there was no other option at the time. Okay? All right, let's take a look at another example. It's a real shame that things got as bad as they did. You know, it's a real shame things got as bad as they did. It's a real shame that things got as bad as they did. It's a real shame that things got as bad as they did. The simpler version of this is it's a real shame that things got so bad. It's a real shame that things got so bad. It's a real shame that things got so bad. Okay, so what does this mean? 상황이 그렇게까지 안 좋아진 것은 정말 안타깝다. That's what it means, right? It's a real shame that things got as bad as they did, or things got so bad. So again, we could easily just say things got so bad, sure. But by saying as bad as they did, things got as bad as they did, for one, you're being slightly more careful about how bad it got. Well, you're being careful in the way you were talking about that. You're treating it with a little more cautiousness, with a little more care. Now, again, let me say that you can just say so bad. It's okay. That's fine. It's fine in most, if not all cases. It's just that when you want to show the other person that you're treating that topic, that whatever happened, the situation, you want to treat it with more respect, that is when you would say something like this. Instead of saying so bad, you say as bad as they did. Things got as bad as they did. It's a real shame that things got as bad as they did. Okay, it's not a huge difference. Again, it's not a huge difference, so you don't have to feel like you have to use this in order to sound polite or anything. It's not really that. But it's just a very small thing you can do, a very small step you can take to show that small bit of respect. Okay? So, now listen to this one. I'm really sorry whatever happened to you happened. I'm really sorry whatever happened to you happened. I'm really sorry that whatever happened to you happened. I'm really sorry that whatever happened to you happened. So if we were to translate this into Korean, it would go something like this. 유감이다. I'm sorry. 유감이다. That whatever happened to you, 너한테 일어난 그 어떤 일이 happened. 일어났다라는 것이. I'm really sorry that whatever happened to you happened. 당신한테 일어난 그게 무슨 일이든 간에 그 어떤 일이 당신한테 일어났다라는 것에 대해서 유감스럽다. That's what we're saying, okay? So what does that really mean? We could actually say, so the simpler version of this is, I'm sorry that happened to you. I'm so sorry that happened to you. And again, we could say this. We can say, I'm really sorry that happened to you. 그 일이 너한테 일어나서 너무 유감스럽다. 그런 일이 당신한테 생겨서 유감이다. I'm sorry that happened to you. But by saying, I'm sorry whatever happened to you happened, it implies, now this is what I personally feel, it implies that you don't fully understand what happened to that person. But whatever that is, I don't fully understand it, but whatever it is, I'm sorry it happened to you. It has an interesting tone, doesn't it? I don't know. To me, that sounds a bit like you are showing slightly more respect for whatever happened to that person, and you're treating that topic more carefully by saying that whatever happened, because you're implying that you may not fully understand what happened to that person, but whatever it was, that you are sorry. I'm sorry whatever happened to you happened. And let me just make it clear again that this is a very, very commonly used way of speech in English. Instead of just saying, I'm sorry that happened to you. I'm sorry whatever happened to you happened. I'm really sorry whatever happened to you happened. Let's admit it. Things are the way they are because we got careless one too many times. Let's admit it. Things are the way they are because we got careless one too many times. Let's admit it. Things are the way they are because we got careless one too many times. So what does this mean? Let's admit it. 인정을 하자. Let's admit it. 인정하자. Things are the way they are because we got careless one too many times. Let's talk about the reason first. We got careless. 부주의했다. One too many times. 너무 많이. 부주의했던 순간들이 너무 많았다. Eventually, that's what it means. Okay? Eventually, it means we got careless. 부주의하게 굴었다. 부주의한 선택들을 했다. 부주의했다. one too many times. 그런 일들이 조금 너무 많았던 거죠. So strange talking in Korean suddenly. Anyway, so the reason is because we got careless one too many times. And so what happened? Things are the way they are. Things are the way they are. This is really, really similar to the first expression that we talked about today. It is what it is. It is what it is. It is, things are what it is, the way they are. Things are the way they are. Things are the way they are is basically like saying things are like this. Things are like this. Things are like this. 상황이 이렇다. 상황이 이렇다. 상황이 이런 것은 우리가 부주의했던 순간들이 너무 많아서다. Right? That's what it means. Things are the way they are. 상황이 이렇다. So when we think of 이렇다, we really want to say like this, right? Things are like this. And that's okay. That's fine. But by saying things are the way they are, well, not only this sentence, but the other sentences that I mentioned previously, they all sort of, on some levels, carry that kind of tone. The tone of, something that was inevitable. Something that couldn't have been avoided, something that had to happen, something that we couldn't really change. I think they all carry that kind of tone. The first one, I did what I did because there was no other option at the time. See? It carries a tone of there was nothing I could do about it. There was no way to avoid it. The second one, it's a real shame that things got as bad as they did. Right? It kind of carries that tone that there was no way to avoid that. And it's a real shame that things got as bad as they did. I'm sorry whatever happened to you happened. Same thing. Again, it feels like something was unavoidable. This one as well. Let's admit it. Things are the way they are. Things are the way they are. It's as if, that's part of life. There's no way to avoid it, no matter how much we think that we could have done differently or we could have done better. Things are the way they are. Let's admit it. Things are the way they are because we got careless one too many times. All right, that's pretty much all I wanted to cover today. I know this wasn't easy, especially because I explained everything in English, but when it comes to expressions like this, expressions that don't translate very well into Korean, I feel that in a lot of ways, it just makes more sense to learn in English. I don't know. Did that just make sense? I don't know. Okay, so that's pretty much all I wanted to cover today. I hope you have a great day today, and I will probably see you later tonight.
Bring around the rosy, pockets full like OD. I can move just how I move, cause don't nobody know me. Low key, still do more numbers than your fate. You can hate, but you can't say that I've been missing any place. Any fool, what it do? Moving quick, busting moves, steps ahead, cause I'm out working while you trying to catch a snooze. Keep it smooth.